Good evening, everybody. I was hoping everyone would be asleep by now or drunk or something, but never mind. It's so obviously, I'm Mark. That's Michelle. We're the core of Darkside Spirit Seekers. We're like these guys. We've not been on the scene for very long. You know, I think we've been doing this for about 4.5 years now. Collectively, I've only been into the paranormal since about 2017. Up till that point, I thought it was hogwash. It was absolutely rubbish. I'd watched Most Haunted. I thought, no, that's a bit rubbish. I don't believe in any of that. But you know, things have changed my mind because I do urban exploring as well as paranormal investigation, which is I know frowned upon in society, but hey ho, you know. But since doing that, I've caught things that I can't debunk myself. But obviously, Michelle's going to talk about what got her into the paranormal.
Right, what got me into the paranormal was back in 2020. I was just on our way to our first paranormal investigation. Me and my ex-husband then had just set off, and I looked into the back of the car and I saw this woman in a white dress. And I said to my husband at the time, I said, "Who's this woman?" He was like, "Don't know." He looked in the mirror and he goes, "I can't see anyone." I was like, "Well, I can." I said, "I assure you she was there." And he was like, "Well, I can't see anything." And I was like, okay. So it just tells me to shut up, basically, and tells me it's all in my mind. So we get to Raven's car, where I was going, and there was a medium there. And the medium actually told me that I had somebody with me that was wearing a white dress. So I left it at that, and then by the end of the day, somebody had actually took a picture, and it was a clear picture of a woman in a white dress that was behind me. So that is actually what really got me into paranormal. And it was what was going on at home, because I had like lights flickering at home, things that was moving, doors that was opening, and it kind of like got me to delve deeper into the paranormal to actually find out what was going on. So that was really what got me into it. Yeah.
Mine's not quite as sinister as that. What it was I was exploring a house. I used to live in a town called Gainsborough, you know, for my sins. And I was investigating a manor house there it's called Highfield House. You can't get in there anymore, it's sealed. And it's an old MP's house. You know, it was built in the early 1900s. Grand manor house, lovely. It's got starlight, it's got everything there, and loads of stuff left behind, personal items, which is a shame. You know, it's upsetting to see that. And there's me and my friend Joe, who we've been friends for many years, and we was going up the stairs, and we heard clattering downstairs, like someone walking over broken crockery. I said to my mate, "Did you hear that?" He goes, "Yes." I says, "Well, let's go downstairs, because it could be other investigators, could be children, or it could be the police. We don't know." So we went downstairs. There was nobody there, no one at all. We went through from room to room. So unless I was playing hopscotch or whatever around the room, we didn't find nobody. But just before we went back up the stairs, on the bottom spindle of the stairs was an old perfume bottle and an old black and white picture that was not there when we went up them stairs. And I learned out that was the grandmother of the MP. Don't know who put that there. We wouldn't put it there because we didn't know who it was. We wouldn't do that. And when we finished downstairs, up the stairs, I saw this mist. It wasn't the surroundings, it wasn't the atmosphere, or anything like that, and it moved up the stairs. Well, that's one of the ones I'll get to in a minute. But the mist was going up the stairs, and I was following it with my eyes. Then it just went puff and just disappeared. And I was not much makes me speechless. Not much in this world, you know. And this one here, obviously, you know, again, you can believe about whatever it is you want. But when I take pictures, I hold my breath, so I don't contaminate the pictures and everything else like that. What I think, you know, is this section here. Here, we've got possibly a little girl. There's a face sat on the chair, and there's a hand. But also, what I get in here as well is a little dog with pointy ears and a girl morphed in. That's a fireplace. I took a picture after that. It wasn't there in real time, and it wasn't there after that. Again, could it be pareidolia? Maybe. I don't know. I'll leave that for. Excuse me. The phones fell off. And but that's the same house. That's Highfield House. You know, it's a lovely place. You just can't get in anymore. They've sealed it up and they're going to renovate it. So it is a shame. Bear with us.
That was the picture that I sent out of the woman in white.
It's sort of, because we've asked this many times, has the picture been digitally enhanced or altered
That's how I
anyway.
received it.
We've had people look at it and everything else like that. That is a genuine picture. We don't know whose hands these belong to. These guys have got extra long arms or something like that. But that is Michelle's attachment. It has been verified that that's the attachment that she's got. She's not very nice. She's very demanding.
And I've actually been told over the last 2 weeks by about 4 mediums that she is actually still with me. So we need to get rid of her, really, don't we?
She's scratched me numerous times, bruises on my legs, you know, and she's not very nice. So we need to.
No, she's horrible, isn't she?
She's.
She is.
Yes. What else we got? That's right, just bear with us. But we also do events as well. We do public events, which we've just got into this year as well, haven't we? Obviously, that's us. There are 2 sponsors. We have 2 sponsors on board now, Gear and Pro Paratech. You know, give them a look out. The Pro Paratech, Emacs, REM pods, things like that, but a more manageable price. It doesn't rip people off like the mainstream, like with all the other ones, Spirit Shack and all them lot are overly prices. He does keep them low. And we asked him if he wanted to come on board, and he agreed to be our sponsor. Pro Paratech, they're more known around the paranormal community, but their equipment's very small, and they don't do much equipment. And obviously, we have our website now as well. We're on all social media platforms except for Twitter. That's the only one we're not on yet. You know, it's we do events as well, public events. We only just started that up this year. And it's going really good into it. But we're like you guys, you know, we like to give people as more affordable prices. We don't go in the £70-80 mark because nobody can afford all that. And, you know, but it's getting older, these places. You know, getting them at a reasonable price, it's very, very difficult.
So expensive.
You know, we even researched that Gainsborough Old Hall, it's an English heritage place, they wanted £2,500 to investigate for 6 hours. I says, I'll just do it in the grounds outside, then it's free. You know, it's that's what bring the public, obviously, and we find the best places to go are the ones that are not on the map. You know, not like 30 East Drive, places like that. We go to the ones that have not been investigated before, the pubs that have not been investigated. The ones that have got loads more history, we find that they can be more active because we're either the first ones there or not many people have been there. We do abandoned buildings, which again, obviously you've got you're not with the public, no, we don't. But we have obviously the human element to it as well. We have to deal with police, angry farmers that don't really want us there. Obviously, we respect that. We would leave if told to leave, obviously. But we have that to deal with, and a lot of skepticism regards to, like everyone else does, with regards to our captures. You know, you fake that, you've done this. So we're not here to fake. We're not here to do nothing. This is what we believe. We're not forcing our beliefs onto you. You believe whatever it is you want to believe. We've all got opinions. But, you know, moving forward, next year is going to be big for us at Darkside. We've got merchandise hopefully coming out now. We're getting on board with a podcast of a group of people in America. So hopefully that's opened to the door for us into the States, which is obviously the pinnacle of the paranormal. And in 2 weeks' time, we've actually got a one-on-one chat with a gentleman called Chris McKinnell, Ed and Lorraine Warren's grandson. Yeah. You know, he's taken up an hour or two of his time to speak to us, person which I find an honour. You know, it really is an honour because he's a great guy, very knowledgeable, and he carries on his grandparents' legacy. And I think without the Warrens, the paranormal wouldn't be out there. When we say most haunted, they brought it out more recently, but the Warrens they were the first ones to get into the paranormal and investigate, don't they? You know, we owe a lot to them. Is there anything else on there? Yeah, we have got a large team. You know, they don't come with us all the time because we've got 26 people on our team. You know, so it's so we're covered for events, any events. You know, so it's and we enjoy it, don't we? Absolutely. You know, like I said, up till 2017, I thought it was like rubbish. You know, it's I don't want to be going down the corridors, you know, and being scared out of my wits. I was like, this isn't real. You know, I'm more logical. I'm former military, so I'm very logical. And it was that Eiffel House that blew it away from me. I couldn't explain. You know, again, I was speechless for like 2 or 3 days afterwards. I don't know what to say. You know, it's my ex-girlfriend thought it was marvelous. You know, but it's but we enjoy it. It's our life, like we all are here. We all want the same answers. You know, are we going to get answers to the paranormal? Maybe we won't. We don't know, but we enjoy it. You know, and we love it. And again, you know, thanks to Tony and Marg, you know, this is an honour. This is our first public speaking event, and it's quite nerve-wracking. We used to more speaking to the deceased rather than the living. You know, we enjoy that more. We get more of a response. But yes,
We've got some EVPs.
we have got some EVPs. If it's going to, we've done Shepton Mallet Prison, which I think is a really good place. Shepton Mallet, like similar to your guys in Shrewsbury. Obviously, Shepton's like the sister, or the other one's a sister, whichever it is. And the first one is it the?
It's the day video.
Is we went there to explore it. But this is a. I'm going to pause it.
Yeah, go.
Pause it first. Oh, then go past it. Pause. There we go. Cool. So yeah, we went there it was about 4 o'clock. We pretty much, except for a couple of other people, we had the entire prison to ourselves. There was no one else who would have gone home. But we went on to C Wing, which is general population, and it was doing alone like
Just like doing a video, weren't they?
a silent recording basically. So Michelle told me to shut up and go over there somewhere out the way, so not to contaminate the evidence. And she was walking in and out of all the cells, not saying nothing, just walking in for a few seconds. You know, for once Michelle didn't pick up nothing. She's this was a waste of time. You know, absolute rubbish. You know, it doesn't live up to its reputation, which they don't always do. But it's only when we got home and listened to the audio from it, and the first cell she went in, you know, clear as day, someone said hello.
You can hear it's from the cells. It's actually echoing hello.
Just yes, yeah. So I think that's the clip we've got here. Just...
You're on, Mark.
Yeah. It was, but we didn't hear it in real time. So it was an EVP. It was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was quite surprised actually when we
heard it. So we go in all the other cells, didn't get nothing until the last cell on that row, isn't it? And it was like Michelle had disturbed someone because it went and it was like saying, what are you doing in my cell? Like, you know, it's
going to be the one. This is one that goes here.
It's very, very faint, but you can sort of hear it. You know, it's, and I'd say Shepton Mallet's probably one of the best ones we've been to, except for near us in Sleaford, we've got Rosseby Mental Asylum. It's an abandoned asylum. There's only about 8 buildings left, but they're in ruined states. And that I'd say is probably our best one, Rosseby, isn't it? We had an attachment follow us home from Rosseby, and a little girl called Jessica, and she was at Rosseby Asylum when she was 7 years old, and that's where she died because they experimented on her, you know. And it not much brings me to tears, but that brought me to tears because she must have come home with us, and she was sat in the car. Michelle says, "Oh, have you let Jessica in the house?" I thought, "No, I left her in the car." I thought, "Oh God!" So I had to go outside, looking like a fool, open the door, say, "Right, come on, Jessica, out you come then." And then you could hear her before I was to walk upstairs, and she had little footsteps going up the stairs. It was surreal. I just, you know, it blew me away because, you know, the kids were all asleep, so it was nothing to do with them. And she kept coming on like all investigations where she kept popping up every now and again through necrophonics. Jessica came through, and but then it went quiet, you know, for months, and we just assumed she went back to Rosseby. You know, she'd seen that we were settled, we'd got, you know, we was starting up the business and everything, and we went back to Rosseby about a week or two after that, and we got necrophonics coming through. I think we was with Estes. What was it? Estes? Yeah, between Estes, and through Estes of the necrophonics came. Are you a male, or are you a male spirit? Obviously not thinking, are you a female spirit? And she said yes. And we says, because it says, are you Jessica? And she said, yes, I am. And we didn't get it recorded. I wish we did do. And she goes, "Do you remember us?" She goes, "Yes." "And do you remember Mark?" And it's surreal because, you know, it took me back because she said, "Yes, nice man, handsome man." I thought, well, I'm not a handsome man, but you know, it again choked me, you know. And since then, we've gone back many times and not spoke to her. It's like she's either passed on or moved on, and you know, it's heartbreaking.
It is.
You know, to see that a child died in some establishment like that, but to get communication.
So this is the next one where the spirit calls my name.
This is the second visit to Shepton Mallet
Then the
Prison.
spirits like to communicate. If you would like to communicate, please speak to him. It's when I go out on the main landing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
This was
Could you tap
an
that?
event that we was hosting for. We was hosting for a different team.
Which you guys, we had a bad experience with, so we went off on our own.
We won't mention who they are, but they're not in business anymore now, so it's.
Would any spirits like to communicate? If you would like to communicate, please make yourself known. Just take your shop and it says your name, isn't it?
Just hear it. I don't know if everyone can hear that, but it does clearly say Michelle. When we enhanced the volume, which we have got at home, it just say Michelle, and it just goes to prove that intelligent spirits, they do recognise you if you go back a few times. They do remember you, and I'd highly recommend Shepton Mallet to anybody. They're just not very cheap to hire. You're not, you know. We did that for this company, and we had a lot of problems like you guys within this company. You try to speak to them on level terms and say, look, why not try this? This may work. You know, it's a benefit of our experience. And the gentleman that owns it says no. He says, no, we do it my way. It's my business. I said,
Sounds like we work for the same company.
Yeah, he says they weren't bothered about the customers. They were bothered about the money. That's all they were bothered about. And he said to us, actually I said to him, I says, we've got one investigator with 20 members of the public. I said, that's too many. I says, I can't look after 20 members. What if someone wants to go that way, or whatever?
Or if anything happens.
Any medical emergency happens, what do I do? You know, and I says, you know, you need at least 2 people, one to cover your back if necessary. He goes, no, you don't, you're ridiculous. He says, you do it my way or you go. And after that, we went. It is. And so I said to him, I said, well, you know, that being big-headed, or what you can do, we can do. We'll go do it. It is hard doing an events business, as you guys know. You know, it's hard to get recognised as well. You know, and we get customers coming to us and saying, you know, it's. So I always say to our customers, what are your expectations on the night? Oh, we expect this. I said, don't expect nothing. I said, we are not most haunted. Oh, most haunted, bless them. Good old Yvette Fielding, bless her. And Derek Cora says, we are not. You've got to understand that these TV companies, they film it over 3 days or less or whatever more, and they put in all the best bits, edited bits, extra bits, and obviously bits that are fabricated. It says, you know, because it's entertainment at the end of the day. I says, you know, we don't mind entertainment. We love watching these programs. We love to have a laugh. You know, we love it. But we don't, as an events company, we don't do that. On our own events, it doesn't matter so much. You know, we can be like, right, you girls, we can be dancing and laughing, and because it builds spirits up. It does. You get that spirit interactivity, and you know, we always find that when I'm bored, and I don't get bored very often. There was one time I think I fell asleep on an investigation. I was that bored, and I resort to humour. I've got the darkest, sickest sense of humour known to man. You know, and we did I think it's called, was it Bolingbroke Castle near Skegness?
Oh, wow.
And it's an abandoned, you can go in there 24 hours a day, it's not a problem. And we was absolute near Skegness, yeah. And we was absolutely bored, you know, as you normally are on investigations. And just before that, we'd been to Scotland, and we did no, not Scotland. Where was it?
It was down south near.
Do the Hellfire Caves.
Yeah,
Do the
Hellfire
Hellfire
Caves.
Caves. And on top of the hill, go up the hill, back of that's the mausoleum. And we was going to go up to the mausoleum on the graveyard. I've never seen it, but there's also a defibrillator. I thought, I've never seen that on a graveyard before. You know, it's pretty weird that, you know. That's a new name for the word afterlife, isn't it? You know, bringing them back. But bring it back to Bolingbroke. We've had necrophonics on, and it actually said, you know, it says, are there any spirits there? And it says, I will be brought back, which obviously you don't normally get a full sentence. It's I'll be brought back. And I says, oh, how's that spirit? Oh, then Michelle says, oh, are you going to use the defibrillator to come back? And then it was just ridiculous, and because obviously it was there, you know, oh, there you go, there comes the spirit. But we used to resort to humour, you know, when we put that out on YouTube, and we got ridiculed for it so much. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, you can have a bit of fun, you know, and like you get ridiculed, you know, and it's wrong. At the end of the day, it is, isn't it? But yes.
This one is where some spirit energy comes back.
This is again Shepton Mark. We've done with Shepton Mark so many times now, and they say always eat your breath, but this was actually coming at Michelle. So obviously your breath can't come back unless it hits all, obviously. But no. I mean, granted, it was very cold, but it was like 5 o'clock in the morning because we did an all-nighter there, so it was.
You feeling anything?
I think we're the only ones awake, but everyone else was asleep, weren't they? It's a great place. It really is.
It's fantastic.
It's atmospheric as well. Not because it's a prison, but it is atmospheric.
Yeah,
it comes towards us. And Michelle felt it brush past her.
I did.
You know, because she went like that. And I said, "What's me? I haven't touched you." You know, it's and she's no, it's just something just went straight through me.
Then there's another one. One that says yes, there is.
Oh. I think this one was D-Wing. I think this one was D-Wing. Yeah.
If there are spirits in here, please speak loudly. Yes.
Sorry, Fix, you've got a lot of people in the background, unfortunately.
We've got some equipment set up. If you'd like to come down and communicate. Shepton is best.
It is, you know, but like I say, we do ruins, we do abandoned properties and everything else like that. And we did, when we went to Scotland, we did a big manor house called Carmichael House. It's abandoned in the middle of the woods, and it's a ruinous state, but it's massive, isn't it? And we went down underground. I don't know if it was a cellar or wine cellar, whatever it was. And Michelle says, right, you carry on going exploring and leave me alone, because I think I'm not alone down here. No, I'm not wanted, you know. And she was down there. If you got that one there, and she was just doing a recording. And on the third time you asked, "Is there somebody there? Can you come forward and communicate with me?" A little girl says, "I'm trying." Oh, it was sad. It's pretty cool.
If you're down here, show yourself. I'll try. Pass the camera.
Very dark.
That's why I stayed in one place with it.
Well, we didn't have the night vision camera with us, did we? So.
Try to talk into the camera.
I think you just make it out. When you enhance the sound, you can hear it a lot better. You know, but it just says I'm trying. You know, it's I think the most heartbreaking one that I've done. We never even investigated it. We went to sort of explore it. It's called the Husker Memorial. Where's the Husker Memorial?
Out near Barnsley.
Out near Barnsley, and it was an open pit where they used children down the open shafts to mine and everything else like that. And on this particular day, in the 1800s, I'm not very good with dates, and there was a massive flood, the worst flood that the Barnsley had in many years, and it flooded the shaft, and 26 or 28 children died.
26.
And we went to the bit has been backfilled now. There's a little fence around it, and it's very surreal when you go there. So I said to Michelle, I just climbed on this little wooden fence. It's only a little wooden fence, and I climbed over it onto the actual bit, and it is so surreal because it felt like I was like suffocating, you know, in water trying to catch my breath. It was awful, and I don't think. Oh, that's my watch. So I apologise. And it was so surreal to the point where I had to actually leave, and I ran to the car. I've never ran from nothing in my life, except my ex-wife. But I've never ran,
Right,
you
so
know.
what happened at Keith the Underground?
Oh, yes. So that was a tearjerker. That the most prominent one we've had is at Keighley Underground, or Keighley Underground, which a lot of people probably know. And we'd done one event there with the old company that we used to host for. Fantastic.
No, so we did it
Was
with...
it a paid event?
yeah.
I do apologise, my memory's crap. And it was a paid event that we'd gone on, and it was a great place. We had quite a lot of activity there. It's fantastic. You know, it's the first time I've actually said I've gone into a brothel until I've had activity in the brothel area. But never mind. And so we said to Andy, who owns Keighley Underground, he says, "Would you mind us coming back to do a public event?" And he goes, yeah, because we got on with them like a house on fire. So we arranged a public event, got members of the public. Got quite a lot of tickets for that one, really. We was quite shocked. And I took my son along with us. He just split up with his girlfriend, bless him, was a bit down. I'm always sceptical, obviously, with mental health and down and that. So don't dabble with the paranormal. But I took him along to try and cheer him up. I'm not going to take him again. And just before that, they'd opened up 5 new rooms. They'd opened up some more. I don't know whether it changed the dynamics of whether they've let something out. But as soon as we went down there, the atmosphere changed. It felt so heavy. You know, and I said to Michelle, I said, this don't feel right. You know, it really doesn't feel right. And we started off with the human pendulum, as we always do, get members of the public interacting and everything like that. We had absolutely nothing. No equipment went off, no nothing. And so we cut a long story short. We said, we'll go to the next vigil into the brothel and we'll try there. And my son came up to us and said, I don't feel very well. I feel a bit sick, a bit nauseous. So no, I thought we were underground. Maybe it's that bit or something. So I said, go upstairs, go outside where we have a smoke and everything else like that and get some fresh air and I'll come back to you when we finish. We'll go for a break. I completely forgot about him, bless him. And one of our members came up to us and says, can I borrow you for a minute? I said, yeah, that's fine. So I left Michelle with the customers and she said, Eric's unresponsive. Obviously, as a parent, your heart skips. You know, I thought, what's he took? He took an overdose? Is he unconscious? So I shot up the stairs like 5 at a time. It was my long legs would take me. And he was knelt like, well, not knelt, he was crouched like that with his back against the wall. He was rocking backwards and forwards, but he was growling and also frothing at the mouth. Now, obviously, as God is my witness, I shook him. I said, Eric, come to my voice, son. Hear my voice. Come to me. To snap out of this. And I slapped him slightly on the cheek. No response. And I opened his eyelids up. No word of a lie. One eye was going that way, and one eye was going. I've never seen that before. I thought, I'm seeing things here. This can't be happening. It's not real. And so I said, right, I'm going to take him down to the break room. I'm going to get Andy down who owns it because he's a fully trained paramedic. You know, there's nothing. You know, but he checked all his obs and everything else like that. He was fine. But that few steps down to the break room should have took me about 2 minutes. It took me 25 minutes of fighting my son. My son is about 7 or 8 stone wet through, very short. I could pick him up with one hand. And I was sweating by the time I finished taking him down to it was really a fight. And he was growling at me, he was hissing at me. He was not himself. And we sat him down. And again, Andy checked his obs. He was fine, except for elevated heart rate. And obviously, Michelle, Michelle's a witch. Bless her for her sins. You know, I love it. And so she says, well, I'll try and expel whatever's, attached to Eric, and so obviously she was doing what she was doing. I stayed out of the way, trying to keep the customers happy. Next minute, he projectile vomited and it was pure yellow, absolute yellow. It's so bright, it's as bright as that. And when it hit the floor, it sizzled. It really did. It wasn't melting, but it sizzled, but it was frothing and it smelled of sulfur. Again, believe what you want to about that. I think that was an attachment at the end of the day, as far as I'm aware. It scared the bejeebers out of me. It really did. And that's got me thinking now to start learning more about the demonology side of things and things. Not to practice, but just to be more aware. Because it's all about education at the end of the day, isn't it? Even we can get things wrong. And that stuck with me ever since. That was probably one of the scariest things I've ever had to deal with. Isn't it? As it is. We've pretty much got everything done now anyway, but we thank you. We thank you very much for listening to me babble on.